Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm creating this look here. It's kind of like a halo eye, but I did like a little smoky wing type thing too. And I created it using this palette here. This is the new Violet Voss Like a Boss palette. This is what it looks like. I tried to use a combination of all the different colors in this palette, so I used like the greens and the golds and the warm tones. I also use a lot of new products on my face, which is really exciting because I ended up liking a lot of the new products that I tried today. I hate when I film a video and I literally hate most of the products and it's just a disaster. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I created this look and hearing my thoughts on all the new products, then you can keep on watching. But before that, don't forget to subscribe down below. I post once a week and it's usually on Wednesdays, and then you can also go follow me on all of my other social medias, mostly Instagram and Twitter. It'll be linked down below, but everything's at TESSA. And let's just get into the video. So I'm going to start by going in with Hustle and Serve as my transition shades. And I'm just going to apply it using a big blending brush. This is a Makeup Shack T4. And I'm just using both those colors mixed together as a transition shade. I'm going to be bringing it all throughout my crease and then also focusing on the outer and inner portion of my eye. It's going to be another halo type eye. It's just my favorite thing to do, but I'm going to try and add like a little twist to it today. And now that we have the transition down, I'm going to go into the color Work right here, which is a little bit warmer. And I'm using a Makeup Shack T67. It's just a little bit more tapered. And I'm just going to focus this right in my crease and then also blend it on the inner and outer portions of my eye. This color does have a little bit of shimmer in the pan, but as I'm blending it onto my eye right now, it doesn't look like a shimmer at all. And I'm also going to make sure to kind of wing these shadows outwards because I am going to be creating kind of like a smoky wing. So we want all the shadows to blend together out in this direction. I've mentioned this in other videos where I'm doing like a halo cut crease and stuff like that, but we want to make sure, since we're cutting out this area here and we're going to be adding a lot more colors, to make sure that the color is also focused above your crease, especially if you have smaller eyes. That way when we cut it out, we have enough room here and then we don't lose all of the color up here, if that makes sense. If there's any point where you feel like you need to blend out the edges and you're getting like a little crazy, just take a clean, large blending brush. This is a Makeup Shack T74. It's huge, and I just dust it over the edges. Next I'm going to go in with a mixture of Strong and Snatched, and I'm going to use a Makeup Shack T8, which is just like a large pencil brush. And I'm just going to mix those two and put them directly in my crease just to deepen up the deepest part of my crease a little bit more. I'm not going to use a ton of these because I don't want it to take away from the super warm tones that we used. But when we cut out the crease, I want to make sure that the very base of it is really deep and there's like a nice ombre. And once there's a little bit less product on the brush, I'm going to drag just a little bit of that on the inner and outer corners of my eye too. And if you feel like you lost a little bit of the warmth or whatever color you placed down previously, you can just take that same brush that you used before and pat a little bit more of that color on top. That way you still get the intensity of the warm colors. Now we're going to cut out the crease, and I'm just going to use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. You can obviously use whatever concealer or base that you would want. And I'm going to coat the end of a Makeup Shack T75 brush. And I'm going to go straight in here and start at the very middle of where I want the cut to be and just run the brush back and forth. And then I kind of like to drag it down. So there we have like the very base of where we want the cut to be. And from there you can just kind of drag it down each way. You can see it's just like a super easy way to create a cut crease. I know a lot of people use really large brushes, like maybe some sort of flat brush like this to cut it out, but I find just using a tiny like detail brush, you can, like this brush works, the T75 from the Makeup Shack, or you can go to the craft store and you can get just little tiny detail paint brushes. Any brush like that works, and if you want to fill it in with a bigger brush, that's fine, but I usually just take these brushes and I'll run it downwards, and then I can take my finger and just pat out edges, and it's just a super easy, quick way for me to create the cut crease. So I'm mostly focusing the cut on the very center of my eye here, and then just taking whatever leftover product I have and blending it outwards and then tapping it out with my finger. That way there's a nice gradient, and we don't lose some of the shadows that we placed here and here. So I'm gonna go in with the color Girl Crush, and I'm gonna apply it using a Makeup Shack T66 brush. And I'm just gonna coat the brush and pat it on at the very, very top of where we cut out the crease. And I'm gonna make sure to pat, that way there's no fallout, and then also we don't disrupt the other colors that we have placed above the concealer. I'm not gonna worry too much about blending this out yet because now I'm gonna move on to the sides of the eyes. I just wanted to get that down while the concealer was tacky, that way it applied the best it possibly could. So I'm going to go back in with that color Strong that we used before. I'm going to apply it using a Makeup Addiction small pencil brush. And this is the color that I'm just going to focus on the very outer portion of my eye and then also the inner portion, but I'm going to be placing more of it on the outer portion because this is kind of going to be the base for the smoky wing that we're going to make. Also, I forgot to mention earlier, I'm purposely doing my eyes first, especially for this look, because I'm going to be taking a makeup wipe and cleaning up the bottom of this smoky wing I'm going to be making. You can, of course, use tape if that's what you like to do, but I would rather just clean it up with a makeup wipe. Okay, so now you can see how I'm kind of starting to create the wing here, and I added a little bit of that darker color here, but it's much darker here on the very outer corner. So to blend into that yellow color, I'm going to be going in with the shade Extra, and I'm going to apply it using a Morphe 213 brush. And I'm just going to apply that right below the first shade that we applied on the lid. This is going to be like the middle color on our lid, so you can fill up the very middle of it and blend it in with that color, and then we're going to apply a very deep green shade right here. Next I'm going to be going in with the shade Smart AF. I'm going to use that same brush and then just put it at the very base of those colors. And I think I'm going to mix in a little bit of Royal as well since it's a little bit deeper. As you can see, these colors need to be blended together because we kind of want them to be an ombre. So I'm just going to be going back and forth between all the shades and blending them together nicely. But now is the step where I'm going to be adding the black, and I'm just going to be using this little detail kind of pencil brush. I think I got this at an art store. So just use any little detail brush that you have. And the black shade that we're going to be using is Inspo from this palette. I'm going to be taking just a little bit on the tip, and basically as if you were going to draw a wing, just start placing the color like that, and then I'm going to be kind of dragging the brush back and forth like this, which will diffuse the color a little bit, and this is how we're just going to build up the smoky wing color. And to make sure it starts winging out really nicely, I'm just going to take it and flick the brush outwards. That way it disperses the pigment a little bit less as you go outwards. And again, we're going to be cleaning up this bottom line, so you don't have to worry about it too much. And this is the point where I'm going to clean up, so I'm just going to take a little bit of makeup remover on a Q-tip. I'm going to take it from my lower lash line here and just swipe it up. And then as you can see, the bottom of the wing is cleaned, and then we can move on to our face makeup and then do the lower lash line. Before I do my face makeup, I'm gonna apply lashes. These are Lady Killer lashes from Rouge and Rogue. Okay, now I'm gonna move on to the face, and I've already applied this Makeup Forever smoothing primer like usual. And for foundation, I'm gonna go in with one that I haven't used in a really long time. This is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. This used to be like my favorite foundation maybe 2 years ago, and I just haven't used it in a really long time, so I'm going to use that today. And I'm using quite a few new products in this look. Today I'm going to be using a new beauty blender, which might not be exciting to you guys, but I'm pretty excited. This is by Sonia Kashuk, and I think it was like $7, and I really like the color of it. I just think it's really pretty, and I think the bottom of it is pretty cool, how it's like flat, so I think it might be promising. Oh my gosh, this covers such a huge area at once because the bottom of this is so huge. So if you're looking for a beauty blender that will cover a lot of space, this might be a good one. Okay, so final first use impressions on this sponge. Even though it has like a super big base and it blends it out super quickly, I feel like it took me a lot longer to actually blend out my entire face because I had to keep going back and forth between this side and this side, which I think in the end probably used more product because I was soaking up each end, if that makes sense, because I had to use this end to go in on my forehead and around these areas here. So I'd say if you like bigger beauty blenders that cover a bigger area, you really like this, or if you just like to use this area, then you'll like this, but I don't know. I think I like my Makeup Shack or just the regular beauty blender better. I'm going to use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer for my under eyes. This is also another good way to clean up the line right here that we cleaned up with like a makeup wipe earlier. You can just take concealer, and as you put it under your eyes, you can just clean up that line a little bit more, or if the shadow got crazy, like too far past your eyebrow, you can just tap a little bit of concealer and it'll clean it up for you. And as usual, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder in Fair to set my under eyes. Now I'm just going to go in and finish my lower lash line too. This is the Thrive Cosmetics Infinity Waterproof Eyeliner. I'm just going to put that in my waterline. So I'm just connecting my lower lash line with the black on my upper lash line. And I'm going to drag the black really tightly all the way across my lower lash line here. And then to blend out that black, I'm just going to be using a little bit of the warmer colors that we used up here, mixing them all together and just blending out the black on my lower lash line. Also going to highlight my inner corners right now, and I'm going to go in with the color Swag right here, which is like a nice highlight color. I don't know if you can tell on my finger, but it kind of has like a green reflect, which I think will look good with the lid colors. I just picked up this contour palette from Profusion at Target yesterday. I think this was like $6.99 and it looks so pretty. It kind of reminds me of the Kat Von D Shade and Light with these three like contour colors. And it has like a matte highlight and then also a shimmery highlight, and I've swatched this. Can you see how blinding? It's like so white and blinding. So I think if you're really pale or fair, this is its swatch. You can just see how bright it is. I think this might be a really good highlight, but we're gonna try it today. So to contour slash bronze, I'm just gonna be mixing these two colors here. Ooh, okay, so I just tapped into the pan once on each color and there's already a lot of pigment coming off, but it seems to be blending out really nicely, so that's good. My biggest pet peeve when it comes to like contours and bronzers is when they're really pigmented but they don't blend out at all. It's like the worst. And these also seem like a really good color for my skin tone, so if you're light to fair, I think this might be a good book for you. I'm not sure if they had one that had deeper colors. They had a whole bunch of different kits, like highlighting kits and concealing kits, so hopefully they have one that's darker because I don't think this would be good on maybe medium to deep. Actually really impressed with how these are blending out. It's like when I first apply it, there's obviously like a patch of pigment, but the second I start blending it out, it just blends right into my skin and it's just a really nice color for my skin tone. So for $7 already, I think this is really worth it. And then we'll see how the highlight performs too. But before we go on with the highlight, I'm gonna try a new blush. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Blush. And this is in the color Natural Glow. It's kind of like just a peachy color and it has a little bit of sheen to it, which are my favorite type of blushes. I'm excited to try this because the Butter Bronzer is one of my favorite bronzers of all time, so I'm hoping this will be a new favorite blush. Seems to be applying nicely. It kind of has like a golden sheen, which I really like. It's definitely like pretty light. Like I've been applying quite a bit of this and it's not showing up too much on my skin, which I like, but if you're deeper in skin tone, then you might want to get one of the darker colors. I think they came out with darker colors anyways. All right, now I'm gonna go in with this super light highlight here. I'm gonna put it on the top of my cheekbones. It looks super light, so I am scared that it's going to just look like a white streak on my face. And I just dipped into it once and you can see all the product there. So I think I'm gonna tap a little bit off. And I'm just gonna go in slowly because I don't want to ruin my makeup today. Oh, I'm breaking out super bad, so I'm just really highlighting all of the texture and acne that I have here, but that's okay. Here again, I tipped in one more time. You can see how much you pick up. It's pretty powdery. I actually feel like this would be a really nice highlight for your eyes. I don't know if you can see, it actually is highlighting really nicely and it doesn't have a weird white cast. This is definitely not a chunky highlight whatsoever. You can see on the brush, it's just like a super fine powder, which I really like. And it kind of gives you a wet look since it's so fine, which is my favorite highlights, especially for right now. I'm just kind of over the whole glittery highlight for every day. Okay, final thoughts on this is that if you have light to fair skin, you definitely need this. It's $7. The bronzers blended out so nicely. The colors are perfect. Obviously didn't try this one. And then this highlight is so bomb. If you're super pale and you struggle to find highlights that are too dark for you, I think this one would work really well. And then also I think this would be a really pretty shadow for your eyes. Also, I feel like I might as well just throw in my thoughts for this palette right here. I'm actually really pleasantly surprised with this palette. I just thought it would be another mediocre palette, like nothing special, just normal mattes and shimmers, and I would have to use like Fix Plus with the shimmers, you know, like nothing too exciting. But I actually had zero trouble blending out any of these colors, especially the mattes. They blended so perfectly, and even though I think a lot of people were complaining about the color choices either being boring or not being able to pair the greens with the warm tones and stuff. But as you can see, I paired like the yellow and the greens and the warm tones, and I think they all go together really nicely. And then also, I'm stoked about these shimmers because one of my biggest pet peeves is when you have to use Fix Plus with a shimmer, or you have to use your finger or it doesn't apply with a brush. I didn't use Fix Plus or wet the brush with any of these shimmers. I didn't really apply a base. I mean, I had the concealer down, but it wasn't super tacky for all of these lower shades here. And I had no problem blending, applying, and they're just super intense, and I'm super excited about this palette. This is the first Violet Voss palette that I've tried, so I don't know how this compares to their other palettes, but if it's the same, then I definitely think these palettes are a hit. So now I'm anxious to try more of their palettes to see if it's the same, and if it is, then this might be one of my new favorite shadow formulas. And for lips, I'm just gonna go in with something simple. This is the NARS Velvet Lip Glide in Stripped. It's kind of a weird formula. It's not matte, but it is. It's like kind of in between a lipstick and a gloss. It's a really strange formula, but I really like this, and it's just like a really good nude for my skin tone. Alright, and here is the finished look. Hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I hope maybe you learned something new or got some inspiration for a look that you maybe want to do. I'm pretty excited because I found 2 new favorite products in my collection. This contour palette and then also the eyeshadow palette. I really like both of them. If you have any suggestions, as always, please leave them in the comments below. If it be makeup looks or palettes to use or video ideas, I would love to hear them. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out. I post once a week, usually on a Wednesday. And you can also go follow me on my other social medias. I mostly use Instagram and Twitter. It's all at TESSA, and it'll also all be linked down below. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.